In December 2023, I hit rock bottom. I would go downstairs after everyone had gone to sleep and I would raid the cupboards with chocolate, sweets, crisps, and then I would take one chocolate back upstairs to eat in my bed. That's how bad my binge eating habit got. In this video, I want to share how you can stop, because eating at night seems to be crippling for so many people, where they maintain discipline throughout the day, but for some reason at night it all falls to shit. So buckle up, grab a coffee, follow what I say step by step, because I managed to heal my relationship with food after 3 years of binge eating and 18 years of eating too much as a child and a teenager. The first thing that we need to understand with snacking at night is that it is just a pattern of behavior. And once we separate ourselves from this pattern of behavior, we can start to deconstruct, which I'm going to do in a second, this habit, so that we are able to intervene and actually make the changes that we need to make in our life in order to stop snacking at night and actually achieve the goals that we want. So a pattern of behavior is just a set of actions that we take on a repeated basis. And every single pattern of behavior that we have has 3 stages. First, we have a cue. Second, we have a response. And then we have a reward. So I used to travel to London, and I'll explain how this relates back to your snacking habit in a second, but I used to travel to London on the tube. And on the tube, what I would do is I would sit and observe everyone else, because I was a bit of a weirdo and I like to be mindful. And when I sat and observed everyone on the tube, I would see that people would impulsively sit down and they would take out their phone and they would start scrolling. And what I noticed was that this was the 3-stage behavior pattern that I was explaining earlier in the video. What would happen is they would sit on the tube, and that would be the cue. The response to this cue would be them taking out their phone, and the reward would be the dopamine hit that they get from looking at someone else's story or checking who's liked their recent post or receiving a message from their friend. And this would happen over and over again as I traveled into London and mindfully spectated everyone else on the tube like a little weirdo. And what I realized is that every other habit has this same loop that occurs, and so we can apply this same principle to you snacking at night. So what happens is you snack at night. Maybe you're sitting on the sofa watching Netflix after dinner, putting a nice movie on. I don't watch Netflix, so I don't actually know what's popular at the moment, but you can probably answer that question for me. So you're watching Netflix on the sofa at night, and you have this random feeling of, oh, I want to go and have a snack. And this impulse comes as a result of some internal feeling. Now, this internal feeling could be, maybe you're feeling a little bit bored. Maybe you're feeling a little bit unfulfilled. Maybe you're feeling a little bit lonely. For you, there'll be different reasons at different times. Once you start to understand this, you can start to realize that we are not snacking because we don't have control. We are snacking because our unconscious manifests itself as impulses, and when the snacking occurs, it just gives us this short-term boost in dopamine, which is the response. I'll repeat. You're sitting on the sofa, you feel a little bit bored. This cue, this trigger, results in you venturing over to the cupboard and grabbing a piece of chocolate, and as a result of consuming this piece of chocolate, you get a peak in dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical that makes us feel pleasure. And what your brain does when you feel this peak in dopamine is literally, it says, oh, give me more of that next time you feel bored because it made me feel good. And this loop gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And so 6 months down the line, when you've done this over and over again and you ask yourself, why the hell am I snacking at night? This is the exact reason, because this food, especially sugary food, especially ultra processed food, especially food high in fat, high in sugar, high in salt, these foods are designed to make you want more, because they are perfectly designed with the perfect ingredients, the perfect textures. Have you ever had an Oreo? An Oreo has the perfect crunch and the perfect amount of cream to give you this sense of reward, this sense of pleasure. And so there's no wonder why it allows you to feel good when you're feeling bored, because it's designed to do so, and it's designed to make you want more. And so this is why you're eating at night, because you feel some sort of emotion, you feel this trigger, and as a result of this trigger, you get a craving for this dopamine inducing snack, because your brain knows that this snack is going to give you this sense of pleasure. So you're getting hijacked. Now that we understand this, we can then start to intervene, which is what I'm going to explain next. So in business, and I'm going to explain how this relates to food in a second, so please stick with me because this is super important to understand. In business, there are 3 stages of a funnel. You have traffic at the top, okay? And then underneath traffic, you have conversions, and underneath that, you have clients. Say if you're getting married, there's a bride and groom getting married. My cousins just got engaged, got the news today. Now they're going to go and look for wedding venues, okay? When they look for wedding venues, they might go onto a bunch of different websites, and they might write an inquiry form, okay? And when they write this inquiry form, input their data, they become a lead, okay? Now, when they go and see the wedding venue, that wedding venue is going to try and say, oh, this wedding venue is great, we can offer you this. And they're going to try and convert this lead into a client, okay? And for every 100 leads that this wedding venue gets, they convert 5%. And so if we wanted to increase the number of clients that this wedding venue would receive, we can either increase the amount of traffic that they get, so the number of leads, maybe do some more social media marketing so that people come to their website more often, or we can increase the number of conversions, so we give them a better experience when they come and view the venue. And we can apply this exact same methodology, which I'm going to explain how you can do this in a minute, to your cravings at night, because the traffic for the wedding venue is the exact same thing as the queues that you have for your cravings. And so if you want to reduce snacks that you eat at night, we just need to reduce the number of queues. Another way that we can reduce the amount of snacks that you consume at night is reducing the number of queues that get converted into snacks. And so we have 2 options there that we're now going to explore. The first option, just to reiterate, is we can reduce the number of triggers, the number of queues. So when you're sitting on the sofa, how can we reduce the amount of impulses that you have? Okay? The second option is, even if you have an impulse, how can we reduce the percentage likelihood that you're going to go and respond or react to that impulse with a snack? Because if we do those 2 things, you are going to be way less likely to have snacks. Which leads me on to the next point, how can we actually do that? So how do we reduce the number of cues that you have? So I want to introduce you to the idea that there are only 2 types of hunger that you ever can have, right? You can either have psychological hunger, so that's your brain telling you want food, or you can have physical hunger, and that's your body telling you that you want food. There is no other types of hunger that you can have. I'm going to cover both of these and how you can reduce the amount of physical hunger cues that you have and psychological hunger cues that you have in the next few minutes. And we're going to start with psychological hunger. Psychological hunger is literally just your brain saying, I want food. You're not actually hungry, but for some sort of reason, your brain is saying, I want food, some sort of impulse. The first type of psychological hunger that you're going to encounter is some sort of environmental cue. And this environmental cue could be in your digital environment. It could be, and I'm going to go into these in a minute, it could be in your physical environment, or it could be in your social environment. Okay, so what I mean by that is the people around you, and I'm going to explain how you can actually design your environment in a way that allows you to stop having these urges by breaking down environment into these 3 sections. I can't remember what order I said it in, but let's just go with social environment. So the people around you. So I'm in Bali at the moment. I train at this gym called Nirvana Life and Fitness. And if you ever go to this gym, which I highly recommend, it's a very nice gym. There's a sauna, there's an ice bath, there's a jacuzzi, there's a swimming pool. The food is great. And the people, everyone is in top 1% shape, or 95% of the guys are in top 1% shape. And so when I go there, I don't think to myself, oh, let me go and have 3 cookies, because I'm thinking to myself, bloody hell, everyone around here is in really good shape. I better bust my ass and fucking run on the treadmill or some shit. And so the point here is that if you want to stop snacking at night, and maybe at night there's your partner is sitting there and he's bringing out, or she's bringing out a bunch of crisps, or she's snacking on crisps at night or on chocolate, you're going to be way more likely to snack on that same shit. And so have a word with them and just be like, look, I'm on this fitness journey. I think, maybe don't force them to get on it with you, but just say, look, can you support me on it? And as a result of that, you're going to be inspiring them to join you on this journey, and eventually you guys are both going to end up snacking less. And I saw this with my family. So my family, me and my brother lost a lot of weight, and as a result of us losing weight, we started to take care of our health. And as a result of that, my parents also started losing weight, and they started taking care of their health and snacking less and eating less dairy milk, Dad, if you're watching. It's super powerful to surround yourself with good people. Social environment, ticked off. All right, physical environment. This is super important. Let me share with you a story about the cashews at my house. So my dad likes air frying these cashews with salt and pepper, and they're just super tasty. And they're super moorish at the same time. And if you don't know, 8 cashews, 100 calories. So very calorific, very moorish, very dangerous. And he'd have this massive tub there, and I would be working from home, and so it's quite tempting for me to go over and have a few cashews. And next thing you know, if you go over and you have 2 cashews or 3 cashews at a time, which to be honest is very easy, and I could probably have more. However, I've learned to be a lot more disciplined with it. You can rack up those calories and end up overeating. One of the things that I did was I would put my peanut butter. So I like peanut butter. I've got a big tub of peanut butter, and I would put that on top of the cashew tub. And so that friction of me having to lift up the peanut butter tub and open up the cashew tub and consume the cashews would stop me from actually consuming those snacks, because I would have to take a pause between me having the impulse to have the cashews and then actually having the cashews. And so if you can design your environment in a way where the snacks are not as visible, they are in places that are hard to reach at night time, when you're having these impulses, you're going to be less likely to actually go and have them. And then finally, we have your digital environment. So when I was in my dieting phase, or even when I was younger, I would actually look at food videos quite a lot. I remember on YouTube, I would look at like cooking videos, and I would look at what I eat in a day. I'd watch this guy called Matt Does Fitness, like what I eat in a day, and he would do loads of these, and then 10,000 calorie challenge. And that's pretty much how bad my food focus was at one point. But obviously watching that kind of content just creates this positive association with eating and like positive emotions. And so one way to stop having the urges is to just stop watching this shit. Surround yourself with good information. So I've bought courses in the past in areas that I want to progress in. And so whenever I'm bored, I just listen to that course, and that then becomes the substrate for my thoughts. And I've got a course below if you're interested about how to achieve food freedom in a step-by-step way, complete strategy without any diets. And if you just consume that, when you're bored, you're going to be way less likely to have these urges, because you're not getting triggered by watching some brain rot Instagram reel of some guy making the best cheese toasty ever. Can you see the difference there? One, you're just consuming information about how to design your diet in a way that actually allows you to enjoy the foods that you love, lose weight, and not feel restricted, so you don't gain back that weight. And the other is literally just watching food and becoming so focused on it that you end up creating this weird relationship with food where you're just constantly fantasizing about it, okay? And so you've got to design your environment in a way that's going to allow you to not have these urges, and be really strategic with the content you're consuming, the people that you hang around with, and the physical environment around you. So another type of cue that you could potentially have is a habitual cue. A habitual cue is a trigger that happens because of the time of day. So whenever I used to come home from school, I would always have a snack, and it would be at 4 p.m. And I feel like that trigger of having or wanting something and desiring something at that time has stuck with me throughout my whole life. Like, I remember when I was working from home, and at 4 p.m. for some reason, and it might have been just because I was bored at work, but I would get this desire to eat something. And before, I would try and maintain discipline and willpower, but there would always be a day where I would be like, I'll just have a few snacks. And those days, I would end up overeating. And so at night, it could just be that you're used to eating food at this time. And remember, like, there could be a combination of the things that I'm saying going on. It's likely to be not just one of them, but by breaking it down, you can understand which triggers apply to your own life. We have this habitual cue. So time of the day, at night, you're like, I could fancy a little bit of something. Instead of trying to just maintain discipline, maintain willpower, just replace that snack with something that actually aligns with the person that you want to be. So like at 4 p.m, I just started planning a nice high protein yogurt bowl, and it would satiate me. It'd mean that I wouldn't over consume calories and I would enjoy it. And just by doing that, it made it a lot easier for me. The last one is you're snacking at night to avoid some discomfort. So remember I told you that at the beginning of this video that one of the worst weeks of my life in terms of binge eating was when I came home for a week during Christmas, December 2023. I just moved out into London, and I'd come downstairs and smash loads of chocolates after everyone had gone to sleep. That was probably the worst it got. And I think I realized that after moving into London, I was just feeling a little bit unfulfilled in my life. The job that I was doing was really unfulfilling. And that is something that actually happens a lot, where if I feel like I'm not making progress in my life, if I feel like I'm not working towards something, that makes me feel really shit, and then that manifests as impulses, and I look to food as a result of that. And so when you're sitting there at night, just reflect and become aware of what are these unconscious impulses, and why are you feeling these impulses? Like, what is the discomfort that you're trying to avoid? Is it that you're a little bit stressed? Is it that you're a little bit lonely? Is it that you're feeling unfulfilled? Is it like that you're not making progress? Is it like you are craving attention? Because when you deconstruct these unconscious impulses, and this actually comes from Carl Jung's philosophy of our unconscious mind and how it manifests as emotions, and I won't go into depth of it, but this is the philosophy that I'm actually talking about here, is that we have our unconscious needs, right? And they manifest as emotions, which are our impulses. And then as a result of these impulses, we can either eat food to make us feel comfortable, or we can just confront the discomfort and actually just sit with it and be like, all right, what is going on here? How can I solve this problem? And put all your energy into that. And when you do that, you actually end up creating this sense of long-term fulfillment, because you find that you've solved the unmet unconscious needs that are manifesting as emotions and impulses in your life that are causing you to resort to food. And to be honest, like, I think there are 3 things that you can do that will make you feel better about yourself. And one is exercise. I think if you exercise regularly, right? So I've been doing 75 hard recently, 2 workouts per day. So I wake up in the morning, I do an outdoor workout. Today I ran, I think 18k along the beach in Nusa Dua, which was super fun. I met this lady called Christine. She's from Melbourne, and we ended up running in the rain together randomly, which was quite jokes. Anyway, side point. If you exercise, you're just going to feel good about yourself. You're going to literally sweat out stress. You can do that. Cortisol literally gets released as sweat. So right now I don't feel stressed because I'm just working out all the time. So train like an athlete, all right? Train as much as possible, because that is going to make you just feel sick. Socialize as well. Like, make sure that your social needs are being met. I remember when I used to diet really restrictively, I wouldn't go out, I would be on my own quite a lot, and I just wouldn't even have like small interactions with people throughout the day. And if you're quite an extroverted person, or even if you're introverted, I think you do need to have at least some sort of conversation with some people, even if it's not like a massive dialogue where you're going really in depth. Like, I'll go to the gym now and just work there, and I just have these little interactions with people, 2-minute chats, 3-minute chats, 4-minute chats, and that meets these social needs that I have. And I don't really need more than that. But it makes me feel less lonely, and then I have less urges to go and eat as a result of me having less unconscious needs unmet. And then finally, purposeful work. Like, purposeful work is so powerful. Right now, obviously, I'm creating this video and I'm loving it. Like, it makes me feel amazing that I can help people with something that I struggle with for so long. And so if you can just look inwards, and if you're not enjoying your job, if you're feeling unfulfilled, like, figure out or try to go on a pursuit of finding something that actually lights you up and makes you feel like it aligns with who you are. Because if you do that, then you're going to just feel a lot more whole, and that's going to stop you from resorting to food as a comfort. All right, so that is psychological hunger done. If you listen and you apply those things into your life, you will be way less likely to snack at night. All right, next we have physical hunger. So what I mean by physical hunger is literally your body saying, it gets to nighttime and your body's, my stomach's rumbling and I'm fucking hungry. Or you have your meal and you just don't feel full even though you've eaten a normal amount. This happens as a result of 3 things, okay? The first of which is not eating enough. So I used to restrict quite a lot. Restrict calories, lower them really low, do loads of cardio in order to try and lose weight. And as a result of that, I would do it for a few days, and then the day would roll around and I would just get super hungry, even after eating a meal. And I realized that was just me and my body telling me that you're not eating enough, dude. And once I realized that, I started to question, okay, why am I trying to restrict so much? Why do I feel the need to do that? And I realized that I have this unconscious need for status. And I felt like me achieving the body of my dreams would bring me a lot of status. And what I realized was that if I just accept my body and actually just say to myself that my body is beautiful and I'm very grateful for it, that stops me needing to rush so much and make really fast progress and then restrict calories, do these stupid things, get really hungry and then binge back up. And so ask yourself, are you restricting calories too much throughout the day? Because maybe you're too busy, maybe you just feel like you need to restrict because you want to lose weight fast, and then understand, okay, why am I trying to lose weight so quickly? Is it because I don't accept my body? And then work on accepting your body, not needing to go as fast, not getting so hungry throughout the day, not needing to restrict so much throughout the day, and that stops you from feeling this physical hunger at night. The world has blessed us with the body that we have currently. We can walk, we can write, we have our minds, we have all these beautiful aspects of our body. Why not be positive about it? Why not try to love it? And then as a result of loving it, we actually just nourish our body with the right foods instead of trying to restrict and make this really fast progress and change it so quickly and aggressively and almost artificially. The second reason is not eating the right foods, okay? This is how physical hunger manifests, right? You eat these hyperpalatable foods, what we talked about. Now these hyperpalatable foods are ultra processed, and so they're not real. Millions of years ago, even 50 years ago, I don't think these foods exist. I don't know when McDonald's came about, but it wasn't that long ago. Or Greggs, it wasn't that long ago. Or bloody Walkers. Like, all of these foods have just come about in the last few years. And so obviously our bodies are not designed to metabolize these foods, right? Our bodies are not designed to take this food and convert it to energy. And there's got to be something else going on there, which, to be honest, I can't explain to you. But what I do know is that if I eat a box of cereal, which is, I don't know, 1,000+ calories, I probably won't feel full. But if I eat the same number of calories in broccoli or chicken, I will feel full. And so I think just trying to comprise your diet of mostly whole foods is going to make a massive difference to the way that you feel. And I'm really lucky at the moment where I'm in Bali and I can eat mostly whole foods and it tastes really nice. But the point here is that just learn to cook these foods, and it doesn't take that long. Like what I used to do, super simple way to do it. Chop up some onions, chop up some garlic, put that in a pan, get some like tomatoes because it creates a little bit saucy. Then add a bunch of veg, then add your meat. Maybe cook your meat first actually. But then add all of that in, and then have that with some sort of carbohydrate source, and you've got a pretty balanced meal. And so it doesn't have to be super complicated. And then what I used to do, I used to go Tesco and I'd basically play pick and mix with the spices that they have there and just experiment with it and have fun with it and not think about it too much. Like, people will be like, oh, I'm making a spaghetti carbonara, and I'll be like, I'm making a spaghetti neomare. Do you know what I'm saying? Just have fun with it and just make real food with real ingredients. And I guarantee that if you do that for 30 days, like 30 days, your appetite signaling is just going to be way better because you're not consuming all this shit. And so you're not going to feel like you need to eat at night as a result of just eating normal food. And then finally, and this is super overlooked, is tiredness, right? People need to sleep more. There's a book called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, and it explains loads of studies, but there's one study where there's a group that sleeps for 4 hours at night. Another group sleeps for 10 hours at night. Throughout the study, they rated their cravings. The group with less sleep craved more carbs, had less leptin, had more ghrelin. Leptin is the fullness hormone. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. And so the point here is just sleep enough. Like, people just don't think about how critical it is. And I've got a Whoop, and oh my God, it's so good. It gives me this sleep score and I just see it every night. Last night, I ended up staying up a bit later. Stayed up to 10 instead of 9. And I woke up and my sleep score was under 70%, which was worse than it's been in the last few weeks. Like, I'm pretty dialed in with my sleep at the moment, where I'll sleep 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm in bed reading my book every single day because I'm training twice a day. I want to optimize my life for performance. And yeah, it actually made me think twice about it. So if you can get a sleep track, it's going to make a massive difference to you being able to just feel great, control your fullness and satiety hormones, and just not have these cravings at night because you're not tired. And also, if you're having these cravings at night and you're tired, go to sleep, mate. Anyway, which actually brings me up to the next point, which is, even if we have these urges, because these urges will still happen, even if we've done everything that we've said so far. So we've tried to control your psychological hunger, we've tried to control your physical hunger. What if we've done everything we can, we've confronted the discomfort on the physical side, we've slept enough, we're eating the right foods, like, we're still gonna have these urges because this is ingrained in us. And so for me, like, I'll still have the impulse to eat at times, right? How can we then stop acting on the impulse? There are two things that make a difference here. The first of which that we can do is find meaning in your life. If you look at CEOs athletes, entrepreneurs, these guys are all in really good shape and they eat really well because they have a purpose behind it. So a bodybuilder, for example, not eating the right amount of protein is so stressful for him because he has a goal attached and meaning attached to eating that amount of protein, okay? And so if you find yourself snacking at night, right? Instead of saying to yourself, oh, I'm just gonna be disciplined about it. Are you actually though? That's what you've been saying to yourself for years. Something more powerful that you can do is actually find meaning in your life that stops you from eating the junk. Stephen Bartlett, Chris Williamson, Hamza. You see all these guys, they're entrepreneurs or they've got big responsibilities. They have this big meaning in their life. They have a big purpose. They feel fulfilled. They're working towards something. And as a result of that, the benefit of the short-term pleasure of eating some random little sweet or junk food or snacks at night is just not there because they know that they have to show up for their purpose in the morning. And so I think instead of trying to exercise discipline or exercise willpower, why don't you just find some sort of meaning in your life? And like for me at the moment, it's 75 hard. Like I'm training for 75 hard. I'm showing up for myself. And there are reasons why I am doing 75 hard. I'm not just doing it for the sake of it, but like that meaning behind that goal means that I'm more likely to make decisions that align with who I want to be. And after 75 hard, then I'm going to really drill down into why I'm showing up, why I'm creating this thing. Because when I do that, I feel this internal desire to not snack at night, even if I have the urge. And the second one is a daily meditation habit. Daily meditation is so powerful because when you meditate, right, you focus on your breath. So you go in and out, right? You focus on your breath. You're going in, you're going out, you're going in, you're going out, you're going in, you're going out. And at some point you're going to have a thought. And that thought is going to distract you. You might go into the thought. You might start thinking about some random thing elsewhere. And then at some point you're going to realize, oh shit, like I was meant to be focusing my breath. And then you bring your attention back. And as you do that more and more, you reduce the likelihood that you're going to get distracted by thought. You start to notice that you can have a thought and not act upon it. And what happens then is that you are literally drilling in, having impulses, having the desire to get consumed by the things going on, whatever your unconscious is creating, and not acting upon it. And so throughout the day, you might have an impulse. Oh, I want to have a snack, or I want to eat, or I want to do this, or whatever. And when this impulse arises because of our unconscious, unmet needs, or whatever reason it is, some environmental cue. Once you've practiced meditation, you have way more control over your actions. And as a result of that, you convert less of these triggers, less of these cues into snacks. And that's what we want. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, if you thought this was helpful, then I have a full course on how to build a healthy relationship with food, how to create a diet for yourself that isn't restrictive, that allows you to achieve the body of your dreams without gaining back the weight that you lose. And so check it out below. It's a great price, to be honest. It should be worth way more, but I don't want to scam you guys. Remember, become the person that you want to be. Peace.